los vieron llegar. Mis hermanos emplumados eran los hombres barbados de la profecía esperada. Se oyó la voz del monarca de que el Dios había llegado y les abrimos la puerta por temor a lo ignorado. Iban montados en bestias como demonios del mal, iban con fuego en las manos y cubiertos de metal. Solo el valor de unos cuantos les opuso resistencia, y al mirar correr la sangre se llenaron de vergüenza, porque los dioses ni comen ni gozan con lo robado. Y cuando nos dimos cuenta, ya todo estaba acabado, y en ese error entregamos la grandeza del pasado, y en ese error nos quedamos 300 años esclavos. Se nos quedó el maleficio de brindar al extranjero nuestra fe, nuestra cultura, nuestro pan, nuestro dinero, y le seguimos cambiando oro por cuentas de vidrio, y damos nuestras riquezas por sus espejos con brillo. Siglo XX nos siguen llegando rubios y les abrimos la casa y los llamamos amigos. Pero si llega cansado un indio de andar la sierra, lo humillamos y lo vemos como extraño por su tierra. Hipócrita que te muestras humilde ante el extranjero, pero te vuelves soberbio con tus hermanos del pueblo. Oh, maldición de Malinche, enfermedad del presente, ¿cuándo dejarás mi tierra? ¿Cuándo harás libre a mi gente?
Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
world across the block. Kahe Balaja, where I get my chala. Who reporting live from the universe? It's the First Nations MC. You could do the search. Who been through the worst? Surviving genocide, fighting for a better life. They try to set aside the true history and keep us mystical. They say they founded this country on biblical principles. It's so cynical, but I'm an analyst. It's murderous. They refer to us as merciless. Indian savages. Now that's written in the Declaration of Independence. That's no kidding. Hey, open up your heart and let love lead the way. Light your path with the words that I speak today. Let the lessons flow, arrive and bless your soul. Systematic racism alive, intentional. Know better, do better, it's the motto. It's the good medicine, the hard pill to swallow. Know better, do better, it's the motto. It's the good medicine, the hard pill to swallow.
His daily life was filled with ceremony, and every act had some significance. The Indians believed in the spiritual, the mysterious.
Viene a decirnos con mucha firmeza y gran convencimiento lo mismo que nos decía en el siglo XVIII el barón de Holbach, ¿no? Un filósofo francés de origen alemán. Si nos remontamos al comienzo, entonces hallaremos que la ignorancia y el temor crearon a los dioses. La fantasía, el entusiasmo o el engaño los adornaron o desfiguraron. La debilidad les rinde culto, la credulidad los conserva, la costumbre los respeta y la tiranía los apoya para que la ceguera de los hombres sirva a sus propios intereses.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Let me see this real quick. Cool. All right. Hold on, let me take this off. Hide this a little bit. All right, Pam. Hope y'all well. You that are new, welcome to the channel. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me do this. I need to replace the camera anyway, so I might as well do it now. I had a video to show y'all quick, but apparently it's been giving me weird situations, man. It's like it saves it, then it doesn't save it, then I can't find it. So, you know, let me say what's up to everybody before I start the session. I did see you earlier, brother Brayak, bro. So welcome down. Good to see you. Jeremías, buenos días. Hey, what's up, bro? Yo. Adam, Hinojos, shit. My bad, bro. Senior. Shalom, It's been waiting for this one. Oh man, appreciate you, bro. Hey, it's been a while, man. I haven't been on Facebook. I had to take off for nothing bad. I just needed to do some business stuff on Facebook, so I had to be off for a bit. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? So welcome, bro. Hold on, let me give you that. Warakuya, what's up, bro? Shalom, Ishi Yahoo. Or Yahoo for you that can't say it. All right, today is a very interesting session. I appreciate you, bro, for helping me out. I have some really interesting information to show y'all, and I'm also going to present to you how wicked people can be. And that even among these so-called BHI camps or Negro-only camps, there are witches in those places. And we're going to prove it today. We're going to go long. Hope you guys have had a restful week, or at least a hard-working week where you can actually appreciate today as a rest day, so to speak, you know, for you to celebrate Friday, Saturdays. And obviously it's like, you know what? I did good this week, man. Let me put some time in for the Father. So let's, here, let me take this off. Let me start off with, matter of fact, while it's downloading, why don't I just tackle this? So I can't tell you that I was always curious about what that meaning meant. Meaning the tree of good and evil. Okay, let me go like this. Can't tell you that I was really curious about it. But as time went on, I started developing a, well, you know, discernment, understanding, all those things, right? And as I'm working on what's more important, like, you know, repenting, all those particulars, I do keep an eye out for dark sayings and, you know, deep understanding. And this class is about that today, okay? So I hope I don't lose anybody. Follow me. I got a lot to show you. So let's begin, all right? Let me see if I can move this out the way because I'm really trying to download this video. My goal was to start with the video, but let's do it this way. This is what the Most High wants, so let's do it this way, okay? So let's go to Genesis 4 and 5. Let's begin because this is kind of where it all began. And I know, brother, you told me that, you know, at the end, but you know what, man? I went back to it, bro, and this is pretty heavy because here is what we start seeing the spirits start developing or separation because it started with Cain and Abel. Why the hell do you think there's this good and evil concept all over the Bible? And it even tells you, be mindful that you have to govern your spirit because if you don't govern your spirit, then guess what? You're SOL. I'm going to read it later on, okay? So I'm not in a rush to read that. Okay, here we go. Let's save it now. Hold on, let me save it. Got the video. Video 1, 2024. Give me a second. Okay. Meshiacha. Okay. All right, let's see if I can save it now. Let's see if I can grab it now. Cool, got it. Okay, so now I can move smoothly. All right, so it starts here, family. Think about this for a moment. The issue prior to, right, has something to do with this. But let's start at this moment here. This is where you see a separation of people, spiritually speaking. But unto Cain and to his offering, he had no respect, the Most High, right? You guys read this chapter, you should understand. You know, both of them had to give an offering. Cain didn't follow the right way. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? Remember the scriptures that say, he who cannot govern his spirit is like a city without walls. Meaning when you get emotional and you lose control, then as everything else here, in case y'all don't realize, there is such a thing as being a host. So you allow spirits to walk in. Now let's look at this. Let's look at this. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? And if thou desirest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Now, I read it to you that way because I'm also going to read it to you this way. And you're going to see that there is some real important, it's an important matter for you to use multiple translations so you can understand exactly each one is saying. So now let's go to the Geneva Bible 1560, and we're going to go to the same chapter and read what exactly it says in that translation. You need to see for yourselves. I'm not going to explain it. I want to read it for you. Because technically, you should feel ownership to this. This is technically your book. In case whether you believe it or not, and you have a lot of doubts within you because you have all these idiot camps that are falsifying shit, we're going to find out today how deep this rabbit hole is. Okay? So here we see now the same page. Genesis 4:5. But unto Cain, spelled with a K, and to his offering he had no regard. Wherefore Cain was exceedingly wroth. He was pissed off. Now you guys know what that means. You know damn well that things don't function if you know what I mean. You're out of order even within your own spirit. Hold on a second, family. I don't know why I lost that link. Give me a second. Give me a second. Let me go back here. Okay. All right. Cool. Let's take care of that. All right. So it says. Let me go back. But unto Cain and to his offering he had no regard. Wherefore Cain was exceedingly wroth, and his countenance fell down. Then the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance cast down? If thou do well, shalt thou not be accepted? Now we see here, it's fair game for everybody to serve the Most High. There's no preference in so-called, bloodline here. It's Cain and Abel, so to speak. Then Cain spake to, hold on a second. If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. Sin lieth at the door. You know that whole saying, perception is reality. What you see, you perceive, right? So if you're wroth, if you're upset, and you have not governed your spirit, yourself, sin is right there waiting for you at that door. Now, why is he saying this? It says here, if thou do it well, thou shalt not be accepted. And if thou do it not well, sin lieth at the door. Also unto thee his desire shall be subject. So basically saying that these spirits desire to rule over you. And thou shalt rule over him. Meaning that is the, what's that scripture? That is the conclusion of the matter, I guess. Ecclesiastes. That is the conclusion of the matter. This war that we fight once among ourselves, right? And we see it from the beginning. Now, here, at no shape, way, or form are we even talking about Abel until Cain deals with this anger. He's bothered. Apparently, doesn't seem to understand. Things can be much more simpler. But we see a spirit already dwelling in somebody. Very chaotic, very boastful, very, what can I say? Rebellious, right? It's like, yo, you didn't do it right. And then you're upset because the father's mad because you didn't do it right. Right? So you kind of complain about it. So you see somebody else do something better than you. They're better than you. They do things better than you. They treat people better than you. And guess what happens here? They have a better spirit than you. So what does Cain do? What does Cain do? Then Cain spake to Abel, his brother, and when they were in the field. You see this? Let's pause for a second. Then Cain spake to Abel. And when they were in the field. So it sounds to me that there's deception of a spirit. Now he's leading Abel to the field. And when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother and slew him. Now we know that he was going to be the tiller of the ground and Abel the gatherer of the sheep. He brought him to his field. Why? Because he was wroth. Abel did nothing to him. And you see this spirit we're going to keep seeing over and over again, because right here, right now, is where in between verse 7 and 8, what happens to Cain? The Most High just talked to him, right? Or the Spirit talked to him. Then Cain spake to his brother. It's like, I just talked to my son walks away. Then he goes and talks to his brother. And then he says, hey, brother, let's go to the field. So he wants to take it out on somebody because he's not the chosen, because he was just built different. Even though he was the tiller of the ground, strong man, right? Because Abel was a gatherer of the sheep. You don't need muscle for that, bro. But the till of the ground you do. And you need an angry person with that. Then the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel, thy brother? Who answered, I cannot tell. Am I my brother's keeper? Damn, now he's arrogant. As if, no respect for the Most High, because apparently Cain has his own understanding now. You see what I'm saying? The moment he went the other way, he somehow, some way, this so-called, what I believe, tree of good and evil was already lurking among. There was already something going on here. And Cain had the spirit to pick up on it, because this is what I'm going to see throughout the class manifest itself. This anger, this issue, these people, this envious spirit of wanting to be in a position where they just don't belong because the seed is tainted. It's that bad. And there's nothing you can do about it. Maybe, just maybe, like the Canaanite woman, where she pleaded to the Messiah, and he's like, well, dogs can eat. She's like, dogs can eat up the crumbles too. Then, okay, you know your place. But we're going to find out that this seed is tainted, that this is a rebellious seed that we're going to be dealing with from the beginning of time, from Cain and Abel. Now, you have all these religions that are talking about these particular stories. Inkil and Iki and blah, blah, blah. It's the same concept. Whether you want to believe that it came from the Bible or not, hey, listen, I'm not here to force y'all. This is my book. And you can say whatever you want about it. Fine, believe what you want. I know what I'm doing. So then again, we see now, and the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel, thy brother? Who answered, I cannot tell. Am I my brother's keeper? And again, he said, what hast thou done? Thy voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. So now I'm like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Murder, anger, envy. It sounds like a God that you may want to sacrifice for. You got to be mindful. So now, let's watch this video, because this is going to help us understand a little bit more about the history behind this tree of good and evil, and who were the so-called magicians of this tree of good and evil. Okay, we're going to be here a while. Enjoy it. Give me a second. Let me see if I could. Oh, hold on. I hope they don't block me or anything, because you know what I mean. I do my best. I don't make funds off of these particular videos, period. You know what I'm saying? So I hope YouTube don't block me and shit. Really, I just hope not, man. I ain't trying to I already did. Yeah, you did, right? Let me just
copyright disclaimer.
Just in case I forgot.
This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. The content provided today has and always will belong to the content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles did not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of the United States copyright law states material and use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principle.
Sorry, I had it on mute. So listen, this video is going to go a little bit kind of long, not too long. So please make sure you pay attention. There's going to be a lot said. Some things are going to be repeated, and you're going to listen to the whole doctrine, how it was changed 4 times. Pay attention to how each time each evolution was a new generation. And then they're going to mention the Renaissance, and that has a lot to do with us. Lots to do with us. Begin, man. Hope y'all enjoy it. Let's go.
Legend has it there's a 5,000-year-old book of magic. It was handed down by an Egyptian god and contains spells that can predict the future. It's called the Book of Thoth. And what it says is deeply mysterious. Some say it contains ancient rituals used by secret organizations.
Each person who is admitted to the order must die symbolically and be reborn.
Others say it offers readers power to divine the future through tarot cards.
The original book of the Tarot was really engraved on gold tablet, and it was a book of Thoth.
For yet others, the book offers its followers a world of free love and drugs, central to the rock and roll culture of the 1960s.
Some of the most famous people in the world, like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, are deeply interested in this sort of thing.
But what is the truth about the Book of Thoth? What does it really say? Does it even exist? Now scholars in Egypt are finding the answer. This is the story of the quest to find the truth about what some claim is the most important book ever written. Digs like this have revealed that ancient Egypt had a sophisticated culture, a complex belief system, and a pantheon of gods. One of the most important was Thoth. He appears as a human body with the head of an ibis, or as the figure of a baboon.
Ancient Egyptian gods were invisible, but if they wanted to manifest themselves to our poor eyes, they needed a bodily form. Many gods had a sacred animal that was thought to be connected with them. The baboon, a monkey, looks very wise sometimes, very human-like, must have deep thoughts, so he was connected with the god Thoth. The other sacred animal is the ibis. He's very quiet, he walks through the marshes, through the mud, but he looks as if he also has very deep thought.
To the ancient Egyptians, Thoth was a god with exceptional powers.
Thoth was the secretary of the gods.
It's said they also adopted Thoth's book and created a new version, the Corpus Hermeticum. But as they did so, Greek influences crept in. The original Egyptian text and the new Greek text became confused. And so, as Greek culture swallowed Egyptian, Thoth's original text simply disappeared.
The gods. He noted down what they decided. So he became the god of wisdom, sometimes also the god of healing, and the god of magic.
According to legend, Thoth handed down this magic to mortals in a book. It was said to grant its readers amazing powers.
Ancient Egyptian literature has it as esoteric or magic wisdom, secret wisdom that would allow an individual to communicate with the gods, talk to animals, to access the afterlife, these kinds of things. Esoteric or magic wisdom, secret wisdom that would allow an individual to...
They were so impressed they adopted much of the Egyptian belief system, including some of their gods. One of them was Thoth.
The Greeks already had a figure of Hermes, who they believed to be the god who was the patron of what we would call science. He was the inventor of writing. So they came across the figure of Thoth, who the Egyptians believed was also the inventor of all the mathematics, the geometry, which had enabled them to build the pyramids. So the Greeks associated their figure of Hermes with the figure of Thoth from ancient Egypt.
The Greeks declared that Thoth and Hermes were the same god. It relates that a last copy of the original book was buried alongside the inquisitive Egyptian magician who'd read it and discovered the secrets of the stars. But whatever the truth, the original Egyptian Book of Thoth was lost, replaced by a new Greek version. The original text would not be rediscovered for thousands of years. The Greeks were followed by the Romans. the wisdom of the Corpus Hermeticum was absorbed into early Roman culture. But then came a momentous change. Christianity spread across Europe. References to pagan gods like Thoth and Hermes were banned. The Greek version of the Book of Thoth was suppressed.
With the rise of Christianity, and especially with Christianity being adopted by the Roman Empire as the official religion, this older pagan philosophy gets wiped out.
Those who advocated pagan ideas were burnt at the stake or broken on the wheel.
The general kind of ravages of intolerance and conquest led to the loss of the Corpus Hermeticum.
If you think of Botticelli's paintings, for example, of Venus and Mars, or the birth of Venus, these are pagan gods and goddesses which are being painted for the first time in Europe for 1,000 years.
This new interest in the wisdom of the past included the rediscovery of the Greek version of the Book of Thoth, the Corpus Hermeticum. To the Christian culture of the time, it was an explosive find. People began to look back to classical Egypt and Greece for alternative religious inspiration.
Somebody brought to Florence the books of Hermes, the Corpus Hermeticum, and the court of the Medici, still reeling from the discovery of Plato and the pre-Socratic philosophers, suddenly found themselves with these books of Hermes, the books of Thoth, for the first time.
The Greek version of the Book of Thoth was translated into Latin and published in Italy.
It becomes one of the most influential books of the time. It goes into several printings over the next century and a half.
It may not have been the original Egyptian text, but it spread through the Renaissance world on a wave of optimism. First, the original Egyptian Book of Thoth had vanished. Now the Greek version, the Corpus Hermeticum, disappeared from sight too. Whatever had been written in the Book of Thoth seemed to have been lost forever. But then there was another revolution in Western thinking. In the 1300s, the Renaissance arrived in Italy. It was a time of intellectual ferment and questioning. New ideas were born, and old ones rediscovered. They included the wisdom of classical Greece and Egypt.
The very word Renaissance means rebirth, and its first use of it that we find in the 1400s is somebody who says, I seem to see in this new learning the rebirth of the ancient culture.
The Catholic Church had been ruling Europe for over 1,000 years. There was a growing sense it was overbearing and overpowerful.
The institutions had become
The Catholic Church had been ruling Europe for over 1,000 years. What made the message of this Greek version of the Book of Thoth so exciting was its vision of man's place in the world. For those seeking to challenge the orthodoxy of the Church, it came as a revelation.
It was a completely different view of mankind, not as a fallen creature who, after being booted out of the Garden of Eden, wandered, lost. The discovery of the books of Thoth was saying, no, man has an exalted position within creation.
The message of the Book of Thoth seemed to be saying that man was more than a servant to the gods.
Not only did he have the same powers as the gods, it was his duty to use those powers to create a better world, a more beautiful world.
Thoth seemed to offer a new vision of the importance of man's place on earth.
In the books of Thoth, it says that man is halfway between the angels and the animals and has a very special role. He is a co-creator with God, and he must create objects of beauty just as God has created objects of beauty.
There's this whole idea of optimism about man, about the powers of the mind, the imagination, the ability to understand the world.
To many people, the Book of Thoth seemed to offer an intensely attractive vision of mankind. Cast around for inspiration, they found it in the Renaissance rediscovery of the ancient world.
We may not be able to trace the historical linkages directly, but we can say that the rituals and the foundation purpose of Freemasonry stretches right back into ancient Egypt.
Like Renaissance man before him, the early Masons were beguiled by Thoth's can-do vision of mankind.
The classical world in Egypt was seen as the start of real civilization, where things like science, like mathematics, mathematics being the foundation of building, the Masons then saw that as the foundation of the art that they grew out of. So there's a huge reverence for anything from classical times and from ancient Egypt.
To mark this reverence, the Masons adopted Egyptian images.
You suddenly get the importation of sphinxes, pyramids, anything to do with Egypt. We're sitting in Freemasons Hall in London, and lodge room number 10 there is a superb example of a restrained Egyptian architecture.
And captivated by it was an itinerant salesman, teacher, and spiritualist called Jean-Baptiste Alliette. For years, he'd been dabbling in the occult. He now took Coeur de Jabelin's idea and turned it into his own. He published a subtly different set of tarot cards. He called them the Atela Tarot.
Alliette basically called himself Atea for magical reasons, and all it was his last name spelled backwards.
The cards had what Alliette claimed was an authentic Egyptian feel.
You see in this first card here, which represents a male querent, that he actually looks like an Egyptian man.
A querent is a person seeking knowledge in a tarot reading. But Alliette didn't stop there.
Okay, now if we compare the Fool in this Atea to the French Fool, you see the French Fool, and he's being attacked by a dog because he's a stranger. Now, to make it sound more Egyptian, Atea thought that the creature attacking him should be a leopard, thinking that leopards came from Egypt. So this our Fool's being bitten on the leg by a leopard instead of a dog.
Okay, so I had to stop for a moment because I got just a quick warning. But you can see how the changing of this book, right? The way that it goes from hand to hand, from nation to nation, and then goes from Egyptian to a Greek concept. And we see from history that the name doesn't really change. You know what I'm saying? The name doesn't change. Let me minimize it a little bit so they don't, get mad at me. Forgive me, family. I got to do it this way because you know how it is. YouTube, I just told you, bro. I don't know why you're giving me a hard time, man. Y'all suck, bro. Anyways, let's continue.
For the interpretation of the Book of Thoth. It was a society dedicated to the reading of his tarot cards.
A Renaissance man, the idea was formed in your mind that if we could somehow restore this ancient wisdom to its proper place, we could once again live in a pristine world. So what was old was really good.
And dating apparently from ancient Egypt, Thoth's knowledge was as old as any in the world.
If you think of it as this kind of cascade, this sort of a mountain or lake at the top full of this clear crystal water, and then through the ages, it comes down. It's still the same water, but it gradually gets a bit muddied. And what the philosophers of the Renaissance believed when they had the Corpus Hermeticum in their hands is they were going to the source. They were going to, sort of the pure waters of the ancient knowledge.
Yet the irony was that this whole alternative philosophy was based on the Greek version of the Book of Thoth. Nobody could be certain how much it had to do with the original Egyptian text. Yet in the name of Egyptian wisdom, it would now lead in some very curious directions. Tarot reading.
Yeah. Yeah. he said just when I join, it gets cut off. It's all good, bro. It's all good. I'm just trying to show, get to a point. You know what I'm saying? I guess I could have cut it less, but let's see if I could continue with this. I don't think it'd be a problem at this point. And we're almost done, basically. We're getting the concept of the changing of God, the changing of hands. But there is one section that I do want to show y'all. I don't want to lose this point here. All right, let's listen to it.
Based on the Greek version of the Book of Thoth. Nobody can be certain how much it had to do with the original Egyptian text. Yet in the name of Egyptian wisdom,
So what we are looking at, come again? Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but let's see. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing, 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 testing. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. Yep. Okay. All right. So apparently YouTube don't like that. I don't know why they don't like that. Yeah, man. It is what it is, my brothers. Yeah, you're right, Let's see. I'll try it again because the video needs to show, bro. Váyanse a la verga, cabrones. All right, let's see what it does. Let's check this out. Let's just finish it real quick, man. I'll chop it up real quick. I need to show you guys this.
Freewheeling religion. Crowley called it the lemma. Saw it in his name.
And stood behind him over his shoulder, his left shoulder, and dictated to him what to write. And he just wrote it down.
Crowley had no doubt who was speaking to him.
Basically, this is a message coming from Thoth.
Crowley called the text he'd received the Book of Law. If he was telling the truth, this was surely the most authentic version of the Book of Thoth ever. It had come from the god himself. Crowley called the text he'd received the Book of Law. If he was telling the legend of the Book of Thoth had taken another twist. But there would soon be yet another version of the book.
I'll pause it for a bit, just so I don't get in trouble. So we're seeing now that the book may have had several changes, and we see that there's a particular person that picks it up around this point, right?
A small group of men looking for a better world.
Small group of men looking for a better world. Now we're talking about the Renaissance, right?
From the Greek version of the Book of Thought.
The Greek version of the Book of Thought, they're the ones that actually took it, which would know them as Freemasons, correct?
It's the Greek version of the Book of Thought. Nobody could be certain how much it had to do with the original Egyptian text. Yet in the name of Egyptian wisdom, it would now lead in some very curious direction.
Now, I want to remind you guys, and for you that claim to have ruled Europe, this book was around there that time. Don't run from your so-called claimed history. All right, let me skip it real quick.
Taking a part of the cultus of Meshiacha. It was a ritual every Mason would have to go through. It came, they believe, straight from ancient of a small group of men looking for a better world. It was a time of war and tolerance. There was fighting between England and Scotland, Catholic and Protestant.
The period when Freemasonry was developing was a period of great immorality.
New person. And this idea of rebirth is central to the books of Thoth.
This idea of rebirth, it's central to the Book of Thought. Now, let me just get to a certain area, because then when these people pick it up, it gets even more hectic.
In 1904, a strange and idiosyncratic Englishman traveled to Egypt. He was called Aleister Crowley, a leading member of an occult society called the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Crowley, he thought he was an artist, a painter, a poet, a great magician. He was going to be something great. He just knew he had greatness in him.
He even saw it in his name.
Some people pronounce his name Crowley and some Crowley. In his own writings, he said it's pronounced Crowley. It rhymes with holy.
Now, pause for a second before we forget. Remember, this is the Book of Thought. Now, what the hell is Aleister Crowley doing with something like that if it has nothing to do with it? Right? Okay, let's continue. Let's continue.
Right as the gospel for a new age. His version of the Book of Thoth consisted of a series of tenets.
So line 3 says every man and every woman is a star. And so now he's saying that we're all like stars. You see, we don't need one central being to give us direction, that we each can find our own direction.
To this end, Crowley argued the most important tenet of his new Book of Thoth was do as thou will shall be the whole law.
See, all of a sudden now, just like the actual concept before, right around this concept here, where he was teaching and saying, claiming that, yo, listen, we gods ourselves. Look what we created. I mean, we're basically here. We're a manifestation. That's why when you guys start believing that prosperity doctrine, like, what you think about? Let me manifest $1,000. It'll show up. I just have to think really hard about having a car, and it'll happen because, I'm a god. Oh, yeah, crazy, bro. You guys are crazy to think these things, man. Let's continue. Let's continue, because it's gonna go back and forth so they don't, mess around with us. All right. Okay, here we go.
Crowley. But that doesn't mean like desire. It means including like sexual desire.
Crowley's new version, a series of tenets.
So line 3 says every man and every woman is a star. And so now he's saying that we're all like stars. You see, we don't need one central being to give us direction, that we each can find our own direction.
To this end, Crowley argued the most important tenet of his new Book of Thoth was do as thou will shall be the whole law. Thoth, in the shape of the Book of Law, became the basis of a new